Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking whiskey.
Bourbon.
All right, Ben. I have no idea what we're doing, so let's bring it on in and surprise me as much as the fans at home.
All right, we have got, bam, McFarlane's Reserve 13 year. Okay, so this one, we've had the McFarlane's Reserve before. We've had the basic McFarlane's Reserve, which is a budgety
Mediocre kind of thing.
Yeah, 3-year wheated whiskey. It's like 20 bucks, 17 bucks.
So, just very briefly, we did a flight of Total Wine, kind of like budget ones.
Spirits Direct.
Spirits Direct, technically. And the McFarlane kind of stood out as good, at least amongst a bunch of bad whiskeys.
And we said if it had some more age, it would probably be really good. Well, here's the 13-year version of that, finished in Cabernet casks. We've also had the cask strength, and that was good. So this one, interestingly enough, Total Wine is mainly the place that sells these. They're like the Spirits Direct ones. But in Minnesota, any other store does have the rights to buy these products and sell them. Most places just don't.
Okay.
At Total Wine, this is a $100 bottle of bourbon.
In Minnesota, and maybe, I don't know how Total Wine works, if they're like franchises and they're different.
Yeah, I imagine they're probably just similar.
Yeah.
Now, it is a 13-year bourbon. That's going to command a price point. It's finished.
So. Yeah.
That's going to command a price point.
That doesn't sound actually obscene. $100 for a 13-year finished.
Cabernet finished bourbon.
And I know the basic one is decent, so.
Here's the thing, though. Our favorite liquor store, Spirits, in Melrose, Minnesota, actually ordered a case of this, and they sell it for $50.
Wow, that's half.
Yeah, so there you go. Total Wine usually has really good prices on normal brands.
Usually.
And maybe it's just that they're assuming that other places are not going to sell this, so they can mark it way
Monopolize.
up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Total Wine, come on, that's a huge markup. I mean, that's
absolutely
massive. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to approach this as a $50 whiskey and a $100 whiskey because most people probably only have access to this at Total Wine.
So back to the specs. What is this?
We
know it's 13-year.
13-year wheated bourbon, finished in Cabernet casks, and it's 90 proof. So let's get into it.
Should be good.
Oh, wait, just...
Is McFarlane Reserve, is that a distillery or is this being sourced?
I don't know. It's a brand, and it probably says, once you hop into the nose there and entertain the internet, and I'll see if it says, it just says bottled in Kentucky.
Yeah, I think they're sourcing this from somebody else, which is not a bad thing, because that means they're sourcing it from a big distillery that has surplus. You know what? I'm not getting wheater notes. I do have a little bit of a cold, and so I think I'm under-nosing it. So here's my first impression. Spoiler alert, I did have a little pour of this already yesterday. How do you
I could not
spell? Well, I was going to say something, but maybe.
Get the bottle home and I have to get into it immediately.
Exactly.
Here's what I like about this. I'll tell you this right. Well, let's get into the taste, and then I'll give that. But on the nose, it's got those nice cherry notes.
You know, I am getting a little bit of I know that we say this about wheat, and it's probably totally inappropriate, but it's almost like a crust of a bread.
Sure.
Kind of.
Bready note.
Bready.
But it has some nice red fruit notes, frosting, like strawberry frosting. Remember, I brought that up on some particular bourbons, like the strawberry frosting on a Dunkin' Donuts. Remember we had the whole... Okay, we're ready.
All right,
let's get into it. Cheers.
That's a little bit all right.
Yeah. I really like this. So, this is why I like this so much. It has those red fruit notes.
I can see that. A little bit of strawberry flavoring.
Yeah, because
that's a hint.
Probably the Cabernet coming through.
I would think so.
But it has the age on it. And it's got the nice kind of oak spice along with it.
But it's not overpowering.
And it's leaning into what I like about Antique 107. So with Weller Antique 107 is where I prominently get those strawberry frosting. Or like, on Valentine's Day they sell the sugar cookies with the pink frosting. And I love those. Or they sell donuts or whatever. It's got like that sort of like a strawberry frosting and also kind of like cherry cola vibes a little bit. And this is leaning into that category. And this is maybe the only other bourbon I've had that does. So
it's also surprising me that it's only 90 proof. Like I'm getting a note that I would associate with a little bit higher proof.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's probably that age coming through, the age versus proof.
I think so.
Now, I may or may not have, when I had a pour of this, compared it to the Antique 107.
What?
I had to.
That's fine.
The Antique 107 still has a beat because it's 107 proof versus 90 proof. That's too big of a gap for
37 points difference.
Yes, it is. Math. So that's too big of a gap in proof to really compare them. But the flavor notes are fairly similar. And so I would be interested in hearing other people's opinions on that. But if you really like 107, this is, again, 90
I
proof,
floated that this is being distilled by somebody else. And I assumed it was somebody else. But maybe it's somebody else. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Could be. I think this is a really nice bourbon. It drinks unique enough where it's kind of outside the realm of just your standard bourbon. It has something special that it offers, I think.
Well, definitely
with the Cabernet finish.
The wheat profile. This one is, I think this would stand out a ton versus a Maker's Mark.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like
not even
this is
close.
And I've also, I hate to double down on this, but I always felt that Weller is a bit different than Maker's Mark.
For sure.
And Larceny's somewhere in the middle.
Maker's Mark is different on its own completely.
It is. But this is leaning a little bit closer to the Weller line.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much of it, but
like I said, it definitely gives me the 107 vibes. Now, I'm not saying that this is to go and spend $100 on this because it's a replacement for Antique 107. It's not. What I'm saying is flavor profile wise, it's in that sort of area in bourbon. So now it gets to the price. Total Wine's charging $100 for this.
Okay.
At $50, I will buy this again for sure.
I think I would drive 2 spirits, which I need to do anyway.
Yeah. So I'll be picking up a bottle of this next time I go through there, or next time I go up there for a bourbon haul.
Yeah.
So 50 I definitely would. 100. It's a 13-year, but there are 13-year bourbons out there for.
Unfortunately, here's the problem. If it only existed at $100, then that's all you knew it at.
Yeah.
That would be fine. The fact that you know that you can drive that way for an hour and 12 minutes and get it at 50, as opposed to driving that way 27 minutes and getting it at 100, that's the hard part.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, it's like, as far as the age goes, sometimes they say like $10 for every year in the barrel.
Yes.
But I mean, there's plenty of 10-year bourbons that aren't, $100. You can get the Knob Creek 12-year, which is excellent. 100 proof for $60.
Yeah.
I think Total Wine is just, man, I think this would sell. I would buy this all the time if Total Wine was selling this for $50. And I will, as long as Spirits keeps getting it, I'll buy it from them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I think they could have a very, very high selling whiskey on their hands if it weren't for the price point. And now knowing that that's a completely unnecessary price point for them, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean,
I think they're just fishing. It's kind of a cool looking bottle. It's actually really hard to read, even here in person. Painted directly on the glass.
You'll notice in the B-roll of the bottle pans that I did with the music, it doesn't really.
It looks cool in person, but our lights and stuff, it's really hard to read. Anyway, I think they're just trying to get some people. It looks cool. Wanting them to spend $100, and fine, whatever.
It's a really good bourbon. Different. If you don't like finished bourbons, this one might be one to try as a finished bourbon.
I'm not getting a ton of cask Like, it's not grape forward or anything like that.
Yeah, I just think it brings those red fruit notes. Yeah. I traditionally have not been the biggest fan of finished bourbons. I don't dislike them.
I probably like them more than you.
I think you do, but this one I really like.
Definitely, and I do too.
So yeah, good stuff. I would recommend this, but I don't know if I would recommend it for the 100.
I genuinely think that people should come visit Melrose, Minnesota, because that's a freaking amazing store.
Yeah.
And there's probably other places around the country that actually sell this.
Yep.
I do want to learn more about McFarlane's, because everything we've had has at least been okay.
Yeah.
And getting better. So maybe it's a smaller distillery, well, not even distillery, smaller blender that is like growing and doing more age stuff. And
yeah, they're coming out with all kinds of different products.
Yeah.
They've got this, they had the 12 last year, they've got the cask strength now, they have a couple other ones. Mm-hmm. I also may have, with the pour that I had last night, may have added a tiny little bit of cask strength McFarlane's to try to up the proof, but the flavor of the cask strength kind of overwhelmed what this one brought to the table, so it really kind of canceled it out. Didn't work.
So the Benny Walker special was a letdown.
On that one, yes, it was. But this bourbon is not a letdown, so you just have to decide if the $100 is worth it for you, or go to Melrose, Minnesota, and go see Alyssa up at Spirits. So anyway, well, this has been McFarlane's Reserve 13 year on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Till next time. See you next time.